Welcome to the Hilliard Station 6th grade band and orchestra parent meeting for incoming 6th graders. We look forward to sharing about our wonderful music program and are excited to welcome you and your student. As we progress through this presentation, feel free to type any questions you have into the chat box and one of us will respond.
This is a brief overview of what to expect at tonight's meeting. This meeting is for both band and orchestra. While band and orchestra are different classes, they have enough similarities for one meeting. Most of the topics covered tonight apply to both band and orchestra, but parts of the meeting only apply to one or the other. We will try to keep it clear. It'll also be indicated in the top right corner of each slide. If you have any questions as we go along, please put them in the chat and we'll answer at the end. Thank you.
In the coming weeks, you will have the opportunity to register your student for classes for next year. At that time, you will select either band or orchestra, and this class will become a normal part of your student's daily schedule. Band and orchestra meet daily for about 50 minutes. Your student will have very minimal after-school commitments with either class and will be able to continue to participate in his or her extracurriculars with little to no conflicts. We both have only 2 evening concerts each year, and we will give you the dates for those on the first day of school so that you may plan ahead.
If your student is interested in playing an instrument, getting ready for class next fall is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Today we will share with you information on how to decide whether your student will be in band or orchestra, and I personally have been a part of both, so there's no wrong choice, how to register for the class, and finally, where to go to shop for an instrument.
Step 1. Choose an instrument. When choosing an instrument, there are several things to consider. 1. Sound. What types of sounds appeal to your student the most? High sounds? Low sounds? Do they like brighter sounds or maybe darker sounds? 2. Balance. A balanced ensemble has specific amounts of each instrument. In order for your student and the ensemble as a whole to be the most successful, the band and orchestra teachers have this balance in mind when fitting your student to an instrument. 3. Physical characteristics. This one pertains mostly to the band, as the orchestra instruments all come in a variety of sizes. Your student's physical characteristics may play a part in their ability to be successful in producing a sound on their instrument. This will be best determined at fittings.
The next several slides apply to just the instruments of the band. Each instrument slide will have a video clip demonstrating the sounds of that instrument. Your child saw each of these in their elementary schools in the past 2 weeks and were asked to pick their top 3 instruments that appealed to them. This is the flute. The flute is the highest sounding instrument in the band. It's also the smallest instrument in the band. It's part of the woodwind family. We know that all woodwinds are woodwinds because they have lots of keys, but we've told the students that it doesn't matter, that we'll teach them one finger at a time. This instrument has a high range and we need lots and lots of flute players. They are only a melody instrument, so we need many, many, many flutes to help with the balance of our band.
Good.
This is the oboe. The oboe is also a woodwind instrument. It is more of our specialty instrument. We often ask our students that play oboe if they have a good ear or if they've played piano in the past. This instrument can be a little bit more difficult to start. So often our oboe students actually start in the summer before we start 6th grade, and they almost continuously are in lessons from the time that they start on the oboe. So if your child is a little bit more dedicated, a little more self-motivated, this may be a good choice for them. is a clarinet. The clarinet is also a woodwind instrument. It has quite a few keys, and sometimes kids get overwhelmed with all the keys, but we teach them one finger at a time. It has a reed on the back, and a reed is a piece of wood that vibrates. The clarinet gets a very large range. It has some low sounds and some high sounds, and we need many, many clarinets. The alto saxophone is the largest of our woodwind instruments that we offer. It is also a woodwind because of all the keys, and it has a reed on the back. But this is a lower sounding. Because it's a larger instrument, it's also lower sounding. This is not a melody instrument. We play the middle parts of songs, and we don't need as many saxophones as we do flutes and clarinets. We need lots of flutes and clarinets and a few good saxophones. We also check with this instrument hand size, because sometimes our fifth graders are small and their hands are too tiny to successfully play this instrument. Moving on into our brass family, this is the trumpet, and the trumpet is our highest sounding brass instrument. It is also a melody instrument. It's like our flute and our clarinet, so it plays a lot of the melody. It is the highest sounding instrument. It has 3 valves, and we do need a lot of trumpet players. The French horn is our challenge instrument. It's a unique sounding instrument, and our students that pick French horn are typically self-motivated. They like to get things done. They like a challenge, and we need some good French horn players, but it is a more challenging instrument to start. So a lot of our French horn players take private lessons, and will often start before school starts. They'll start in the summer with private teacher. We need a good ear to play this instrument, and it's definitely for people that want the extra challenge. The trombone is considered a low brass instrument, and it often plays our bass lines. It's played in jazz bands that we have at our high school, as well as the rest of the concert bands. This is a unique instrument because it doesn't have any buttons or valves. It's got a slide that makes the sound, and so it can make some unique sounds that the other instruments cannot. And we always need a lot of trombone players.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
This is a baritone, and the baritone is also a low brass instrument and plays the bass line in our band. It actually has the same mouthpiece as a trombone, but it uses valves instead of a slide. So some of our students like the feeling of the buttons versus the slide. And this is a great instrument to start on. Also, if you're interested in tuba, we do start some tubas in sixth grade, but often the tuba is so large that we have to check and see your child's size. So the baritone would also be a great start if your child is interested in dotting the I in the future. And we always need a lot of baritone players. Our last family of instruments is the percussion family. And the percussion family, we start on a bell kit in sixth grade. It's a mini xylophone or a mini marimba, and it is a little bit different than some of the kits that we've used in the past. This actually has wooden bars instead of the metal bars that we've used in our past. It's got a much better sound. And with it comes the keyboard part where they learn how to read the notes and play the melody parts of songs. And then also they have something called a snare pad. And the snare pad mimics the feel of a snare drum, but it is much softer, but it still feels like a drum. So in sixth grade, we start on this xylophone kit, and we play this xylophone and snare pad, and we need quite a few good percussionists. But our percussionists need to have good coordination. They need to be hardworking and independent students. So we are asking that all percussion students do a fitting with us, because oftentimes the coordination that it takes to play percussion, some of our students just can't do that. So in order for students to sign up for percussion this year, they have to do a fitting with us. If they choose not to do a fitting, they cannot sign up for percussion.
Now we are moving on to the 4 instruments of the orchestra. The violin is the smallest and highest pitched member of the string family. It is held under the chin and rests on the player's left shoulder. It can be played standing or sitting. The violin often carries the melody in an orchestral work because its sweet, brilliant sound is easily heard over the rest of the orchestra. The viola is a little larger and lower than the violin, but is played in the same manner. It has a warm, chocolatey tone quality and often plays harmony to support the violin's melody. The cello plays notes that are only 8 notes lower than the viola, but the cello is much larger. Due to its size, the cello player sits in a chair and rests the cello between his or her knees. The cello has an end pin that rests on the floor to help support the instrument's weight. The cello can play the part of a supportive, reliable bass instrument at one moment and rise to play the melodic tenor voice at other times. The bass is the largest and lowest pitched string instrument. The bass is often taller than the performer, so the bassist stands or sits on a tall stool to play the instrument, which rests on the floor. Much of the time, the bass plays a support role in the orchestra with low supportive notes. On very special occasions, the bass gets to play the melody, but most of the time, the bass just gets to keep everyone all together.
The most important thing you can do to help your child choose an instrument they like the sound of and be successful on is to sign up for a fitting. A fitting is where your child gets to try out the instruments. Because we are all different, each student will be a good fit for some instruments and not good on others. The fitting process lets your child be successful. Fittings will be 3 evenings. The dates and times this year are on the screen in front of you. They typically last 15 to 20 minutes for each fitting. Our website has a great deal of information for you, and it's where you're going to go to find the fittings site. So if you go back to our website at hilliardschools.org/music, you're going to be able to choose whether you're going to sign up for band fittings or orchestra fittings, or both. If your child is not sure which one, whether they want to do band or orchestra, have them sign up for a fitting for both. Once you've clicked on the 5th grade program, it will open up the screen and you're going to need to click on the fitting tab on your left-hand side. And once you click on that tab, it will open up a space and you're going to have station fittings and or THARP fittings. And since you are a station student, please sign up under the station fittings link. If you decide to do an orchestra fitting, you will do the same thing. You'll pick the orchestra program first, and then you'll go ahead and click on the fitting tab on your left where it says fitting session, and then you will click that link in order to sign up for the orchestra fittings.
Our next couple of slides will pertain to frequently asked questions and our common answers. Number 1, does my child need to transport their instrument to school every day? Students carrying their instrument back and forth every day depends on the size of the instrument that your child has chosen. Smaller instruments that fit on the bus or are easy to transport are brought back and forth from home to school. Larger, heavier instruments will not fit on the bus and cannot be carried daily. Students who play French horn, baritone, percussion, cello, bass will be assigned a school instrument for use when they are in class. These same students will need to rent an instrument for home use. Frequently asked question number 2. Can my child do a fitting for both band and orchestra? Our short and fast answer is yes. If they are undecided, we would love for your student to try out instruments in both groups so they can decide which instrument feels best for them. Both band and orchestra have fittings at station on the same nights, so we recommend you schedule them back to back, with orchestra first, since band fittings are more likely to run long with the number of instruments available.
Frequently asked question number 3. Can my child play both a band and orchestra instrument? Really, the answer is no. We found in the past that students that play both band and orchestra at the same time don't have enough time to practice 2 instruments, and so therefore they end up being a mediocre player at best of both of them. Whereas if they focus on one instrument in either band or one instrument in orchestra, they typically are more successful.
Step 2. Register for band or orchestra.
Sometime in February, our 6th grade guidance counselors will be coming into the elementary schools to ask students what electives they want to do in 6th grade. Because of this, your child needs to have an instrument chosen at that time as we schedule classes by specific instrument.
Please keep in mind that 6th grade is the only year to start an instrument in Hilliard City Schools. If you are conflicted between learning an instrument and participating in choir, you are allowed to do choir along with either band or orchestra. Since choir, band, and orchestra are all year-long electives, participating in both an instrumental class and choir would eliminate any other elective choices for the year. You are not allowed to start 2 instruments in 6th grade. Additionally, choir can be started in middle school or high school, but there are not beginning instrument classes after 6th grade.
Step 3. Shop for an instrument.
The quality of the instrument does affect the success of your child. If your child is playing on an instrument that does not work well, they may get frustrated and want to quit. We are fortunate in Hilliard to have several quality music stores around, and so we do highly recommend that you stick with one of these music stores. They are tried and true, and they offer instruments that allow our students to be successful.
We would really like to emphasize how strongly we recommend renting over buying an instrument. There are several reasons for this. 1. Sizing up your orchestra instrument is simple when you are renting. The shop will trade out the smaller instrument for the bigger. This is not a problem for the band. 2. All rental payments are applied towards your eventual purchase of an instrument. Around the end of middle school, rental payments will have covered the cost of your student's instrument. 3. Repair costs are covered in the rental fee. If something breaks, the shop will fix it or trade the instrument out for another at no cost to you. And 4. Rental instruments are often better quality than those found on the internet. Rental shops carry high-quality brands at very reasonable rates. Your student will be more successful and will enjoy playing on these instruments a lot more than those found on the internet. Certain rental shops will come to school to complete upsizes, repairs, and to pick up instruments that need to go to the shop. This is highly convenient and makes life a lot easier for busy people like you. 2. The rentals will include all accessories needed for each instrument. The shops will provide anything students need for playing and maintaining the instruments. 3. Instruments ordered between now and August will be delivered to school prior to 6th grade orientation. At orientation, you will be able to take the instrument home with you. Rental fees do not begin until the day the instruments are dropped off at school. Finances should not be a reason that your student avoids signing up for band or orchestra. If your family has financial circumstances that makes renting difficult, please reach out to the station band or orchestra directors to talk about options.
Now is our time for our question and answer session. While we are transitioning back to our live cameras, please type any additional questions into the chat box and we will do our best to address them.